and welcome to makeup. This is just wrong. Does like this backlight actually make that much of a difference? Oh, it actually kind of does. What if I just... Yeah, cute. Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome back to Watercolor Convo Makeup, where I talk about the things that I want to talk about, where I talk about the things that you want me to talk about, and sometimes they meet in the middle and I talk about what we want me to talk about whilst I do my makeup. And it has been so long, just so long since I filmed a video. I know it's only been like 2-3 weeks or something like that. I don't really know. It hasn't been that long, but for me it feels like ages because your girl has been moving. I'm in a different room. I'm in a different house. I'm with different people. I'm loving it so far. I'm like 80% of the way set up. I haven't it feels different. The video is going to look different. I'm going to feel a bit different because I'm still trying to feel where I fit here and in my life now, but also I just haven't figured out how to set up one of my lights. It's also why I haven't filmed the part 2 to the beauty community video yet, because she's a lot of research. And research plus filming plus editing plus moving at the same time, especially that level of research, is just impossible for me. And that's why I'm filming this video, because it's just a bit easier for me to research and it's just a bit easier for me to get all of my thoughts together, because it's one story, one group of people, one person in particular, or 2 people in particular. So it was just easier for me to film this video. So part 2 to the beauty community is on its way. I look a little bit different and my setup looks a little bit different because I've moved. I think that is all the housekeeping. Hello, how are you? Disclaimer and content warning: in this video I will be discussing the recent postings by Jeff Wittick. In this series of videos he has been discussing, showing videos and photos of an accident that he was involved in which he was left quite... He was left severely injured and almost died. In this video, I will be discussing that accident as well as a few other bits and pieces, but I will not be showing any videos or photos of the actual incident itself. I will be linking his videos in the description below. I just don't feel comfortable posting those images and posting the video because it's just beyond where I feel comfortable. I will still post a few photos within the video because I've had a lot of comments asking me to post more photos in these videos, so I'm more than happy to do that. I just won't be posting those specific ones. If you do find any of this content possibly triggering, please consider clicking off the video altogether or proceed with caution. The accident itself is I've seen people come out of car accidents better than this. Just to give you a bit of a scope as to what we're going to be discussing. At the point that I am filming this, Jeff has posted about 3 videos. The first just giving a bit of backstory, the second actually showing the accident, and then the third showing some of his recovery. He still has more videos to post on this matter, so some of my opinions may change depending on what gets posted. So in this video, I specifically want to highlight and discuss the accident itself, not so much the backstory, if that makes sense. So maybe bits and pieces will change my mind with further watchings of the series, but for the moment, my opinion's pretty concrete on this matter. For those who don't know, just a bit of context, Jeff Wittick is a YouTuber who is a part of the Vlog Squad. He's had a bit of a spicy past. Spicy's one way to put it. But he has been in the Vlog Squad for a few years, the leader of the Vlog Squad being David Dobrik, who at this point has about 18 million followers on YouTube. If you don't know who he is, considering everything that's been coming out against David and out against the Vlog Squad recently, count your blessings in all honesty. So with David being the leader, he seemingly calls the shots when it comes to a lot of the videos. Everyone seems to have their own... My lighting is just awful today. What is happening? I thought I had y'all adjusted. Come on, baby cakes. Come on. Maybe what are we typing? Oh, no. I put my keyboard on the floor. Okay. Note to self. Don't put the keyboard on the floor. Oh, I can't even get rid of that. Because the keyboard's on the floor. Sorry, I told you, moving has made me a bit of a mess. Quality is just not as good as I want it to be. I'm so sorry about that. It will be fixed for next video. I just really wanted to sit down and film because it's been so long and this channel is literally my happy place and I needed just somewhere to just just... So with David being the leader, he seemingly calls a lot of the shots when it comes to the vlog squad, as in like what stunts they're going to be doing, who's going to be doing them, who has a specific character and what the character is. And I'm only saying this with a lot of the information that has come out against the vlog squad and against David recently. There is a lot of stories. This is just one of them. With the vlog squad, the content is primarily centered around each other and the fun that they have as a group. So when COVID started and the pandemic came in, their vlog content kind of came to a bit of a halt, because if you're supposed to be social distancing and you're not supposed to be around each other and your whole entire content is based off of being around other people and specific people, it becomes really, really hard to film that kind of content. And I didn't really see any of them moving into the same house together so that they could do this kind of content. So because of the pandemic and the lack of content that they could now post consistently, David wanted to do something bigger, bolder, grander. He wanted to put stunts in his videos where the vlog squad members, being unprofessional and untrained at them, would perform them themselves. One of the stunts that David wanted performed was actually involving people skydiving. So 4 of the members, or about 3 of the members and one of the friends of the members, had to get their skydiving license. And to be able to get a skydiving license, you have to have like 25 jumps with professionals and then do like a test, and then you have your license. And they got up to 20 jumps with professionals, and then they had to travel back to Utah to do one of the other stunts that David wanted to do, and then go back and do the other 5 jumps. In all honesty, watching Jeff's video, when I saw that there was skydiving, I was like, okay, so here's where the accident's gonna be. It's gonna be a skydiving accident. Wrong. When they went to the other stunt, that's where the accident happened, because the other stunt, I'm not even joking when I say this, was an excavator, like one of the building site excavators, one of the ones with the big, I'll put a picture there. They got an excavator, they put it in a lake with 1 foot deep of water, and then they had a rope of a significant length, and they towed off of it either a wakeboard or an inflatable tube that you would typically see off the back of a speedboat, so that people can like do fun things like that. I've done it before, it was kind of fun. I got smacked in the water pretty hard at one point. I then didn't do it again, because that was enough for me. I was like, yep, cool, I'm done, see ya, bye, have fun. At first, like, yes, it seemed dangerous, yes, it seemed stupid, but also it didn't seem like anyone was going to get badly hurt, because people were on wakeboards with a rope with the excavator, and they were going round and round and round and round in circles, and everyone came off of it fine. No one seemed to feel like they were in any more danger than if they were being towed off the back of a speedboat, so it all seemed fine. Then Corinna, one of the members of the vlog squad, got on the rope, and David started swinging her around. I don't know if that was the initial thought or intention of Corinna, or if that just kind of happened and then she went with it, but at first she seemed okay. They were swinging her around on the excavator just with the rope, no tube, no wakeboard. She was swinging around, and Jeff describes it as picturesque at first, which, like, yeah, in all honesty, it looked kind of cute, it looked kind of picturesque, but then David being David took it too far. He sped it up, and then Corinna got really scared and shouted to get down, and then even made comments of, "You always take things too effing far, David." And then he eventually let her get back on the shore. Jeff saw this and said that he wanted to make a good video. He wanted to make a fun video for the audience. So then he got on the rope, and this is where it all went downhill. Jeff has mentioned quite a few times in the series how big of a mistake it was, and how big of a mistake it was to trust David behind the wheel, because he is one of the biggest effing morons he knows in his life. Actually, no, I think he used the word idiot, not moron. I would just use the word moron. And that's putting it lightly. Because David being David once again took it too far, and he sped up the excavator too fast. And then when Jeff was essentially parallel to the water, he was swinging it so fast that Jeff became parallel to the water. Margie's the water, this is Jeff. He essentially got to that. And then as soon as he saw that, David just stopped the excavator, and Jeff swung round on the rope into the excavator. This incident tore some of Jeff's ligaments. It broke his foot, it broke his hip, it shattered his skull in 9 places, it shattered his eye socket, he almost lost his eye, and he almost died. From the looks of the 3rd episode, Jeff is doing pretty well in his recovery, all things considered, but at the same time, this kind of an accident, this kind of physical trauma is not something that you ever get over. This is something that will stay with him forever, because some of his injuries are actually permanent, but also this sense of invincibility that you have before going into something like this will no longer ever exist. Like, yes, you still may do a few things that are a bit risky, a bit like, oh my gosh, but at the same time, it's not something that you will ever do to the same extent. I haven't ever experienced trauma like that, but I have experienced trauma in my past, and I know for myself personally, after that event, you are a new version of yourself, a version of yourself that has experienced that, and that's something that you're just going to carry with you forever. So all things considered, yes, Jeff is doing seemingly well, but at the same time, I don't think it's ever going to be something that he 100% moves forward from, because he is now the Jeff that has been through that accident. He'll never be the Jeff that never has gone through that accident. If that thought process kind of makes sense. Like, even though it makes sense in my brain, it doesn't mean that I'm saying it properly for you all to understand, is what I'm trying to say. So now that everyone has a slight bit of context, if you need to pause the video at all, please go ahead, feel free, because it's a lot to digest. It's like I'm still speechless, in all honesty. In all honesty, I'm definitely one of those people who thinks stupid things get stupid results, kind of the same way that stupid questions get stupid answers, except stupid things get stupid results. I'm very much one of those people. So yes, Jeff did choose to be in this stunt. Yes, Jeff did choose to get on that rope. And yes, Jeff did trust his life in the wrong person's hands. But he didn't choose for David to take it way too far, endangering his life. And personally, I don't think that Jeff deserves to live with this for the rest of his life. But unfortunately, it is the outcome. And I think the saddest part of all of this is if one person just stopped for a quick little second, a lot of this, if not all of this, could have been 100% avoided. Because essentially the stunt that they were doing was just a backyard version of this ride. You know, the ones that you see at like fairs and festivals and fetes and stuff, the one where you sit on the swing and you spin around in circles. Essentially, it's just a backyard version of that. You've got a big mechanical thing in the middle, you've got some sort of chain or a rope, and then you've got something to sit on, and then you get spun around in circles until you get dizzy, want to vomit, and then you get put back on the ground again. The only difference between the two things is rides like this have to undergo insane amounts of engineering, insane amounts of testing and clearances before anyone is allowed to ride them. And at the same time, even after they've gone through like the initial clearance for people to be able to ride on it, they still have to undergo intense amount of maintenance to make sure that they are continuously safe. They can't just sit there 20 years later and be like, we've never done anything to make sure that it's still running perfectly, so we're just going to let people ride it anyway. That's not how it works. They have to undergo a lot of maintenance, a lot of testing, a lot of clearances consistently after the fact. And because of this clearance, this ride has a gradual acceleration, but it also has a gradual deceleration to the point where it stops. So it doesn't just stop, it slows down. Slows down until it stops. Because physics. The official ride slows to a stop by balancing the inside rotation speed with the outside rotation speed. That way they can all constantly slow down together. That way they follow the same path as they slow down together. That way the people on the seats aren't going further or behind them. They're just slowing down at the same rate so that these people stay in the same position or just no longer are parallel with the earth. And this is where the big difference between the official ride and the backyard version of the ride kind of come into play, because the vlog squad essentially forgot basic physics. They forgot about Newton's laws of motion. I don't know what other education systems are like in other parts of the world, but I learned about that when I was in year 10. I learned the 3 laws of motion, Newton's laws of motion, in year 10. But not only that, hi, I'm JJ. I have a Bachelor of Science majoring in chemistry, but I've done 5 units of physics and would have gotten the minor if my university didn't screw me over. But either way, I've done enough physics to kind of have a good basis of what I'm talking about. It's been a few years since I've studied it, but at the same time, I have a good foundation knowledge of physics. But also you don't have to have a Bachelor of Science to kind of know that this was a dumb idea. So hi, welcome to my classroom. I'll be your teacher, JJ Rifenstine, and I'm just going to have a brief little discussion with you about Newton's laws of motion. The first law is the law of inertia. In simple form, objects at rest or objects in motion at a constant speed in a straight line will stay at rest or stay in motion unless another force is acted upon it. That's the main one that kind of comes into all of this. But then the second law of motion is essentially F equals ma, which is just force equals mass times acceleration. And then the third law is, in simple forms, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. All of these kind of come into play with this because it's a big thing of motion, but at the same time, the main one that they forgot was essentially number 1. the first law. I feel as though I actually kind of fixed this, so like, good job me. But I feel as though this whole entire thing could literally be summed up in a final exam question for physics. Like, no joke. David is driving an excavator traveling at X miles per hour in a circular rotation. Attached to the excavator is a rope with a length of X, and holding onto it is Jeff with a weight of X. If David were to stop the excavator, at how many miles per hour would Jeff be traveling when he crashes into the excavator? Is that not a physics exam question? Like, it's a messed up one, but is that not a physics exam question? So if we were to discuss this situation as a physics question hypothetical, what we end up getting is something briefly along the lines of this. Jeff and the excavator seemingly accelerate at the same rate, but also maintain a constant speed at the same rate. But when the excavator stops, a force is acting upon it, so therefore it stops. But there's no force acting upon Jeff to make him stop at the same time, because Jeff doesn't have brakes. Jeff's path has also been clearly defined in the circular motion due to the rope and due to the excavator essentially being like a center point of gravity. Center point of gravity, center point of momentum. I told you that my physics is a little bit rusty, but at the same time, like, it's a decent foundation. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So because of this, Jeff was literally just going to keep spinning at the same rate unless some other force was going to act upon him. So one force is, of course, going to be gravity, which would eventually slow him down and stop him. But unfortunately, with just the way that the excavator stopped and his defined path, the force that stopped him was literally the excavator. And I'm not surprised. Like, it's so sad and it's so unfortunate, but I'm not surprised. He had to be stopped by something. And if it was a straight line, yeah, it probably would have been gravity. But it wasn't a straight line. It was circular around something big and industrial and heavy and dangerous. So unfortunately, I don't think gravity is going to act fast enough, depending on what speeds you have this excavator rotating, especially if you make someone go parallel to the water that you are rotating on top of. So if we compare both the official ride and we compare the backyard version of the ride, what David could have done, and yes, it is hard to act in emergency situations if you don't really know what you're doing and you are very untrained, but what David could have done, and it would have been terrifying in the moment, but at least it could have reduced some of what has happened to Jeff, if David literally just slowed the rotation down with Jeff and attempted to balance it, he would have come to a very slow, stressful stop. And personally, I would take a slow, stressful stop where I come out completely scratch-free than what has happened to Jeff. So essentially, stop it exactly the same way that the swing ride stops. Because physics. As I said, my physics knowledge isn't what it used to be 100%, so like I've definitely gotten a few details probably a little bit wrong when it comes to it, but at least you all kind of have a foundation of just where they really screwed up. Like, I'm sorry, you have a heavy bit of machinery and you are dragging someone by a rope with that heavy bit of machinery. You know what you shouldn't do? Stop. Just like straight up stop. Don't hit the brakes. Like, don't just like smack down the brakes. You slow it. Slow it down. Slow it down. Slow and steady wins the race. I know that one of the strong opinions out there is, you know what would have stopped this accident happening altogether is if they didn't do a stunt like this. Yes, I do agree. This accident and this, it was dumb. It was a special kind of dumb. It was a special kind of stupid. But regardless, it's happened now, so I'm going to discuss it happening, not that I wish it didn't happen. But not only could David have ensured a little bit more safety by just something as simple as slowing down the rotation rather than just coming to a screaming halt, but also there are a few other things that David could have done to have ensured more safety in this situation. You girls done a bit of research, and what I found is that Utah LTAP actually offers a course for $375 where they can train a person to be able to handle and operate heavy machinery, including excavators. Just $375. At ASA Film Crews, you can hire a set medic for $625 for 12 hours. They also offer an ALS standby ambulance ALS standing for Advanced Life Support, with a 2-person team, one of those people being an EMT paramedic, for a whopping $3,500. So for $4,500, David could have had training for the excavator, could have had an on-set medic, could have had a standby ambulance with a 2-person team, one of them being an EMT paramedic, for $4,500. And with David's level of wealth, I am 100% convinced that he would be able to afford this. I'm not saying that he didn't have any of those things on the site of the stunt. I'm not saying that he didn't do the training, but what I'm saying is from the videos that Jeff has posted, and David's level of respect towards the excavator and the dangers that it could have, I'm not sure if he was trained. There's no evidence to suggest that he was or wasn't, but I would think that someone who's trained to drive such a vehicle would kind of know to slow it down. Just my thought. So just, if he has, great. If he hasn't, why not Fambulance? But also from the film footage, looking at the people who ran into the water to try and help Jeff and save him, I couldn't see anyone with official kinds of uniforms for medics or paramedics or anything like that. I'm not saying that these people weren't there and that these people weren't hired. What I'm saying is literally from the film footage, I could not identify a medical professional. They may have been there, but I couldn't see it in the film footage. A step further that would have been great would have been if there was stunt coordinators and safety consultants on set as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't find prices for that. I would have had to have gotten a quote from specific businesses and companies, and I wasn't prepared to do that kind of... I didn't want to lie. But at the same time, seeing how bad this went and seeing the permanent effects that it is going to have on Jeff, and knowing David's level of wealth, but also the level of wealth that other Vlog Squad members have, I don't see how they couldn't have pulled all their money together to make sure that no expense was spared, to make sure that people didn't get drastically hurt or died. And I'm 100% sure that I've knuckled down why I am so worked up about this is genuinely because when I saw that video, it reminded me of when I was like 13, 15, sitting down and watching the Jackass movies with my brother. Literally, this is a Jackass stunt. I'm pretty sure they've done stuff quite similar to this anyway. They had things like I think it was the Toro Totter. Is that what it was called? It was the one where you had like the seesaw things, depending on where you jump on it, and they had a bull just running around. They had that. They had that like big red rocket thing where they launched a rocket off into a lake, and I think Johnny Knoxville's eye got knocked out or something. They had a lot of stunts that were just absolutely mind-boggling. But as a kid, it was very entertaining. But the difference between these Jackass stunts and this stunt specifically is that Jackass had safety teams. Maybe not so much in the early days, but if you go to IMDb and you click on the more recent kind of movies, there are people credited as medics, there are people credited as safety consultants, wildlife consultants. There was still a safety team. Yes, safety may not have been the highest priority for a lot of the people working on these films, but it was still a priority to some people, and people were paid to make it their priority when it wasn't going to be other people's. Because of this, there was a level of respect for the danger that these stunts possessed. There was a level of respect for the risks that these stunts possessed. And some funding did go into making them as safe as possible, considering that the Jackass guys were probably going to do it anyway. But at least there was some sort of priority into making sure that yes, it's risky, but let's try and make the risk as small as possible to make sure that you'll come out of this alive. And if the things that were put in place to reduce risk, to reduce danger, did somehow fail for whatever reason, there were medics on set to make sure that the situation wasn't going to get worse, to make sure that the right person got the right first aid at the right time immediately. Because as Jeff said in the video, he is lucky that he did not die. In all honesty, I'm thankful for him, but I'm surprised that he came out as lightly as he did, because when he hit that excavator, he fell straight into the water. If he was unconscious and he inhaled any of that water, he would have drowned on the spot. So it wasn't just the impact that could have killed him, it was the body of water underneath him that could have killed him as well. There's just so many ways that this could have gone more wrong than it did. And even though what happened is still awful and still unfortunate, and he shouldn't have to go through any of this, I still think is incredibly lucky. And in all honesty, I don't know if any of the Vlog Squad members are first aid qualified. I hope that some of them are, considering some of their videos, but once again, I couldn't really find any concrete evidence to suggest that anyone is first aid qualified. I think that if they're in a group of friends like that and they are constantly making videos like this, they should have some sort of first aid knowledge. They should have some sort of first aid qualification, because in that situation where that happened to Jeff and none of them were first aid qualified and there was possibly no medics on site, did they know what to do? Did they know how to help the situation? Did they know how to aid the situation? Did they know what to do except for call 911? Knowing the emergency number is great, good, do that. But in an emergency situation, even though any first aid is better than no first aid, at the same time, the wrong first aid can make the situation worse, unfortunately, if you don't know what you're doing. And also, having first aid training does kind of prepare you for emergency situations in a way of like, you're not just standing there in shock wondering how to help or what to do. By having some sort of first aid training, your brain kind of goes into an autopilot mode of just like, okay, this is the incident, this is how I can help, this is how I can at least do something until the ambulance arrives or until paramedics or something arrives. Or if the operator on the phone is telling you something, you know exactly what they're telling you to do and you're not sitting there panicking wondering, oh, what's the recovery position? Oh my gosh. But JJ, are you first aid qualified? Yep, and I've also been the first responder in 3 emergency situations, and lucky for them and lucky for me as well, all 3 of the people that I have been involved in with those emergency situations have come out completely fine. And I'm so grateful and so thankful that one, I was there and I knew what to do and I could help and I could understand the operator on the phone, but also that they did come out fine, because I think 2 of them were regular customers of mine at my old job. So if that would have hit me in a really weird way. But in saying that, in Australia at least, first aid is one of those things that you have to keep resitting and then go back and redo later. And I'm pretty sure mine actually expires this year. So I will have to save up my dollary dues and I will have to go back and retrain. In saying all of this though, the Vlog Squad is not the only group of friends who make this kind of content. They aren't the only people on YouTube who make this kind of content. And it's just unfortunate for them that this time it went really, really, really wrong. But in all honesty, and I hate that it's at the expense of someone's health, both physically and mentally, I hate that it's at the expense of Jeff, but I really hope that this is the start of a brand new chapter for YouTube, specifically the kinds of channels and groups of friends who post this kind of stunt content. There have been countless times in social media and on YouTube where a stunt is performed and irreversible consequences are suffered because of it. And there have even been times where I know of at least one incident off the top of my head where someone has actually died from it. And the common denominator in all of these videos is just as simple as safety was not a priority. It may have been a priority, yes, but it wasn't as big of a priority as it needed to be. Sometimes it's as simple as a quick run through with, I don't know, a bag of potatoes or something that's just as heavy as the weight of a person, just to see how it could possibly go wrong or if it's going to go wrong. Just having someone around or on set who has at least a base knowledge, a foundational knowledge of first aid, so that if something does go wrong, they can at least put your arm up in a sling and they know how to make one of those properly. Just because people have, yes, chosen to be a part of the stunts doesn't mean that they deserve or need to suffer through the lifelong effects that these stunts have when they do go wrong, especially if the simple things can be done to make sure that the consequences can be made lesser or just completely get rid of them altogether. With these groups of friends and individual creators sometimes making thousands of dollars just from AdSense, which is only one point of income for a YouTuber of a substantial size, with them making this much money off of just AdSense for one video, I don't see why there can't be a reinvestment of this money into just some safety precautions when it comes to these stunts. I'm not saying fun police everything. I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing these things, because people are going to do them anyway. And if you want to do it, go for it. Just be aware of the risks, be aware of the consequences, but also if you're making that much money, just get some first aid training, get an on-set medic, get an on-set ambulance if you really need it. If you're making this much money and you are essentially a millionaire, you can reinvest money to make sure that if it goes wrong, there's some sort of professionalism there to make sure it doesn't get worse. And really, this kind of reinvestment could save a life. This is what I mean by I hope this starts a new chapter of YouTube. A chapter of YouTube where people don't underestimate the danger of the stunts that they're performing, where people don't underestimate the necessity for safety precautions, even in dumb stunts like this. Like, the stunts are gonna go wrong, okay, but that doesn't mean that you can't, like, make them the teeniest bit safer. Y'all are freaking millionaires, come on! $5,000? You've got that in your bank account, spend it! Once again, I'm not saying that David didn't, I'm just saying that I literally couldn't see it in Jeff's video, but if he didn't, I'm pretty sure the medics, the ambulance, safety consultants, all of that would have been a lot cheaper than the medical bills that David's forking out for. Let's play a game of Would You Rather. Would you rather A, not pay for an on-set safety team and have a stunt go incredibly wrong, which tears your friend's ligaments, breaks his foot, breaks his hip, shatters his skull in 9 places, shatters his eye socket, almost killing him, and then pay for all those medical bills? Or B, pay for on-set medics and a safety consultant and just like a safety team in general, and then have your friend probably come out better, if not completely okay, than if you didn't do that? What would you rather? In all honesty, I think that David is also lucky to have a friend like Jeff, because David has gotten off so lightly in this situation. Like, granted, he is getting a lot of hate on the internet. Understandably, he's getting a lot of hate on the internet, but I think the person that should be the most angry at him, apart from like Jeff's family, because I'm pretty sure Jeff's mum would not be happy with this situation, I think the person that should be the most angry at David should be Jeff. And by the looks of it, yes, he has specified that he resented David for a while, not surprised, and that he's quite angry at him because he didn't like call him or anything like that, which, like, I'm sorry, if you literally broke your friend's face, call. Come on, strap on your big boy socks. You broke his face, call him. Gross. But if all Jeff really has for David is some resentment, he's a better person than me. David has gotten off so lightly because depending on who you talk to, David should have gotten jail time. David should be getting jail time. David still could get jail time, in all honesty, from what I've read and from what I've researched. Like neg driving or attempted murder and like the really intense cases, depending on who you talk to. Some people are saying like, hey, he should be charged for that. Either way, if Jeff wanted to sue, he in all honesty could take David for everything that he has. But he's not. And I do understand that David has paid for all of Jeff's medical expenses, yes, but also that's literally like the least that he could do. I'm not exactly going to give him a medal. Oh, you pay for the medical bills? Dope. So you should. As I said before, the money would have been far better invested in making sure that if something went wrong, there was something there to stop it from getting worse, or to kind of stop it from going wrong in the first place. Like they did it on Jackass. Yes, they had dumb ideas and the stunts were going to be dangerous, don't get me wrong, but they had like people on set who were developing harnesses and stuff when they were doing things like the bungee cord jumps in the Portaloo or something like that. Like, yeah, still dumb, yeah, could still go wrong, yes, like, proceed with caution and don't do this at home, kids, but also, like, there was still stuff there. Look, I've had a lot of friends over the years be like, haha, nerd, because I'm the kind of person that takes a first aid kit in my car everywhere that I go. But at the same time, like, when something goes wrong, I'm everyone's favorite person. She's a nerd when she's a safety queen? Dope. I am the happiest nerd that's ever existed then. Ultimately, what happened to Jeff and what is highlighted in his Don't Try This at Home docuseries is awful. It was, in all honesty, horrifying to watch. There was a lot of, like, blurred out bits and pieces. There was a lot of harsh cuts to kind of cut out parts of the accident, but also you can fill in the cracks of what content is missing from the accident. And even though, yes, he did choose to be a part of the stunt and he did choose to get on the rope and he did choose it knowing that David was behind the wheel, my heart still goes out to him. Like, in all honesty, like, people have some negative opinions on Jeff, whatever. I don't know enough about him to really be able to make an opinion of it, but what happened to him isn't something that I would wish upon some of my worst enemies. I hope that he has a speedy recovery. Even though he looks pretty well healed on the outside, doesn't mean that there's some things underneath that are still healing, and also like just the event itself and how it could have mentally affected him, he's probably still healing from, and he's going to be healing from this for the rest of his life. He will be wearing these scars for the rest of his life, and that's something that he unfortunately has to live with. So yes, even though he chose to be there, I don't think he deserved this kind of outcome. As for David, full discretion, I used to be a big fan of the Vlog Squad. I've watched quite a lot of all of their videos, but since a lot of the information and a lot of the allegations have come out against a significant part of the Vlog Squad members, I haven't watched any of their content since, and my perspective on David has changed quite substantially along with the rest of the internet. But what I know of his content and the Vlog Squad content and what he shows us on his channel is that dangerous stunts are performed, yes, but he seems to be the person holding the camera and not being involved in the dangers, in the risks. He seems to leave that up to his friends to be a part of, or he's the one holding the danger, holding the risk, pointing it at them. And time again, we've seen stories or allegations or situations where David takes it too far. He takes the stunt too far. He takes the dangers and the risks too far, and it's other people that suffer the consequences. The only backlash David's getting in this is the fact that the internet hates him. Okay, cool, but like, I would rather the internet hate me than have to go through what Jeff has had to go through, in all honesty. All David would really have to do is change careers. Jeff has to undergo, or had to undergo, a lot of surgeries, a lot of healing, and a lot of consistent just undergoing. It's something that he's just gonna have to consistently maintain. Consistently, we see David take the stunt, take the danger, take the risk too far, but he's never really a part of the danger or the risk. It's his friends that are in it, and he doesn't seem to have any kind of forethought when going into it. He only has hindsight, and I think that not having forethought into it is incredibly dangerous and incredibly disrespectful to the people that are happy to just... He's taking his friends for granted. David has taken a lot of people for granted, a lot of his friends for granted, and really, I don't think he deserves some of the kindness and the loyalty that these people are giving him if he is happy to put them in so much danger. Even though this is all at Jeff's expense, and I wish that it wasn't at anyone's expense, I really hope that this is a new chapter in YouTube. I really hope that people see this and they realize how bad things can really go if you don't take precautions. I just don't understand why, if you want to do the stunt and you have the money there, why you can't just reinvest some of that money into ensuring the safety of the people that are going to be involving themselves in this kind of content for you and for themselves. I just don't understand that. That's it. That's everything. That's... Ugh. I heard this happened and I was like, oh, like what kind of an accident are we talking about? Then I see the skydiving and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's a skydiving accident. Like, sucks, but also like, you're skydiving. What do you expect? But hey, at least there's trained professionals to be able to help you, right? No. It's an excavator in a lake with a rope. If you couldn't tell from this video, like, I am the mum friend of my group. If someone loses a wallet, I'm typically the one to find it. If someone is injured, I'm typically the one to patch them up. If someone's having a mental breakdown, I'm typically the one to hold their hand. It's just what I do. She still has fun, but also she also makes sure that everyone else is okay, is having a good time as well. I'm having a good time if everyone else is having a good time, essentially. You know what is having a great time right now? My face. Because I've been seeing this all over TikTok where you do the outside and the inner corner, but you leave the middle bare, you just put like a little bit of glitter. I was like, oh my gosh, soft, cute vibes. I want to try that. And oh my gosh, I look freaking adorable. I look so cute. I look so cute. And I got my little art shirt on again. Tell me you would not want me as your art teacher right now. Like, that's the vibe that I'm giving off. Like, just fight me right now. Makeup is my armor. I feel incredible. I love it. I never want to take this off. I look so cute. Either way, thank you so much for being patient with me and bearing with me as I was moving and not posting videos. And thank you for being patient with me when it comes to part 2 of the history of the beauty community dramas, because it's a lot more research than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a lot, but it's just a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. And that's why we're doing this video before the other video, because this one was just a lot easier for me to research. Are you joking? We're doing the rest of the video with the light off. It was just a lot easier for me to research and get together all my thoughts for this video specifically rather than that one, because as I said before, this is one group of people, one incident, not like 70. So thank you for being patient. That video will be coming up as soon as I can get everything together. And thank you so much for bearing with me with my lights being weird, my camera angle being weird, my purple light not being there, and bearing with me whilst I've been moving, because I really appreciate it. And to all of the new subscribers, hello, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to have you along for this cute little journey into some new kind of content that I'm doing. And to all the baby cakes who have been here forever, thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you so much for just supporting me no matter what I choose to film. I appreciate every single one of you, and I have so much love for every single one of you, and you have no idea how much better you've made my life over the last 3 years. And one day I'll be able to repay you, and one day I'll be able to tell you everything that happens off camera, but for the moment I just want you to know that you are what makes me happy, and I'm so grateful. And I just hope that you are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic month, a fantastic year, and I hope that you are doing as fantastic as always. Bye everyone!